Hi, it's Ethany and welcome to the Tarot Readers Academy Tarot Cafe. And today's video is going to be one that I'm probably going to do more than once just due to the size of my tarot and oracle deck collection. So I've seen quite a few of these videos from my peers in the tarot tribe around, and I thought I would start giving it a go. So today I'm going to go through a few, and yeah, then there'll be more than one of these videos done. So let's get started. I guess I'm going to start with the ones that I use quite a lot now. I have got tarot decks everywhere in our apartment. My boyfriend is very sweet in allowing them to pretty much take over our apartment, and that's not even all of my collection. Some of it is still in storage in Australia. So I'm very fortunate to have an understanding partner, but they are in boxes, they are in chest of drawers, they're in pouches all over the place. And so it's kind of like a little mecca in our apartment. So my first deck I want to show you is the Greer Tarot, which has been my go-to tarot for a really long time for reading. This was the tarot that I used after the Spiral Tarot because that was the first one I really did a lot of readings with. And I love this deck. This deck is, I love the no borders. I hope they're all the right way. I love the colour in them. This was actually a second-hand deck that I bought, and I cleansed it and have been using it for years. So I am not against buying decks second-hand. I mean, I think the less waste we can create, the better. The deck is just so beautiful. I'm just going to bring it closer to you all. It's just such a stunning deck. If you like this sort of imagery, then it's definitely for you. I probably should have turned these around before I started recording. The titles, they don't take away from the actual cards or the artwork, which I love as well. It's non-intrusive. And again, like, I love the fact that there is no borders. So that's the Greer. Let's do a couple more there. You don't see, the one thing about the court cards is you don't see the rest of the person. They're all just shot with the bust in mind. So they're all just show the bust. But really rich imagery, really, really beautiful to read with. So that's the Greer. And then the next one I adore is the Clover Tarot. Now this is an independent deck that I got, and the links for all of these will be below. I just think this deck is super beautiful. I'm going to make sure a few of these cards are up the right way. So the back has a clover on it. This is just such a gorgeous deck. They're quite big cards, but I don't find that too intrusive in regards to having to shuffle them. These are just so beautiful. Modern takes on some of the cards, but then a lot of Rider-Waite-Smith and Thoth imagery as well, so you can connect to them if you are used to those two types. I mean, I love the Eight of Pentacles. Such a beautiful card. So pretty, just beautiful. As you can tell, there's nudity in this deck, so if you are not into the nuds, then I wouldn't suggest getting this one, but hey, we're all born naked, y'all, and the rest is drag, as RuPaul says. So I have got no problem with nudity or nudity in cards. It's nature, it's natural. Just stunning. Love it. Read with it a lot. Really, really connect with this deck and would highly recommend it. If you're drawn to this imagery, get it, get it, get it. She reminds me of Nike, the Greek goddess of victory, Nike, with her wings. So that's the Clover Tarot. Again, the link is below. Then we've got this next one, which is this. These are all in pouches in a box. This is the Steampunk Tarot. There are a couple of Steampunk Tarots around, but this is the one that I really love. And my boyfriend, as you can tell, it's got a little bit of wear on the back. And my boyfriend loves it. This is his to-go-to reading deck when he does readings. He really enjoys it. It's a little darker, but like it's not super dark. It's just a little darker than I guess a lot of decks. Just like super cool images. There's been a lot of, it's really easy to interpret. It's very similar cardstock to most Llewellyn decks, which is not the greatest, but because it warps a little bit, as you can see, it's not really all that straight because it's been used a lot. And this deck is less than, I don't know, less than a few years old, so it's had a bit of a beating. So I wish they would use better stock. I would pay a couple of dollars more for a better cardstock Llewellyn, you have been told. But that's just me. Again, very Rider-Waite-ish in its artwork. The borders aren't too bad. I don't find that they take away from it at all. So I've got no problem reading with this. There's my card, the Queen of Swords. Really pretty. This one is probably one of the only Queen of Swords that I've seen in on decks that is not so severe. But beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful deck. So that's the Steampunk Tarot. If you like that aesthetic, I totally recommend getting it. So then we have the next one. The Crystal Visions Tarot. I did a giveaway with this and that was pretty popular. Another super gorgeous deck by Jennifer Galasso. This is a really popular deck. It was voted one of the most popular decks on aeclectictarot.net and yeah, just aeclectic.net. It's just gorgeous. I love the color palette because I'm all into purples and pinks and blues. The borders all have, so like the Pentacles has green, the Major Arcana has yellow, so it's very easy to tell. You can have a quick scan and see sort of what suits are in the actual reading you're doing. Really gorgeous deck, very much in line with people who like unicorns and fantasy art and ravens and butterflies and purple and dragons, and it's just got a lot of really beautiful fantasy kind of components to it. Very romantic. It's quite a soft deck in that it's not going to be one with a really stark cards of some of the harder cards like the 9 of Swords or the 10 of Swords or the 5 of Pentacles. It's a little gentler, I guess is a way to put it, without taking away from what those cards actually mean. So if you're looking for a more gentle deck, this is one that I would really recommend. It's a standard tarot size and beautiful, beautiful paintings that this one comes with. So then what else have we got? What else do I want to show you? We'll do this one. This is the Light Grey Tarot. This is a collaborative deck, which collaborative decks can be a little bit tricky because with collaborative decks at the back, you can either connect with them or you can just be like, what the heck were they thinking? Or like, that is just not my aesthetic at all. So like this card, the Queen of Cups, I mean, I just think that's stunning. I think it's so beautiful. This is probably one of my favorite collaborative decks. The other one, I mean, I've got quite a few collaborative decks, but some of them I'm really, really drawn to. Some of them, like the Moon, love it. I'm not overly drawn to the Emperor, love it. The Hanged Man. See, like some of these are just so beautiful. The Hermit. I love this one for self-readings and for readings with clients as well. I just think it's such a beautiful, beautiful deck. And I think that bringing, 78 different artists to a project like this really does give it a very unique energy. And I like that. But that's just me. I kind of dig that. And I love also that when there is a card that I'm not overly drawn to or I don't really like. There's a part of that in me that there's a lesson in that for me as well. It's like, what about it bothers me? Is it the artwork? Because art should provoke a response, whether it's a positive or a kind of a drawback response. So an artist is doing their job right if they are invoking a response. So these are just so pretty. I've done a review of this as well, and if I've done reviews of these decks, I will put the links below. Like the full reviews will have, you know, where to get it, the size of the cards, more detail of the decks as well. Digital art is, I really love digital art decks, and I just was like over the moon when I saw this deck, and I really want the second edition. I'm probably gonna have to wait till I can save up a bit more to get it. This is the Ellis Tarot. This is the Ellis deck. This is the first edition. Okay, so I know the back is different from in the second one, and I believe the cardstock is different too. I would love the vinyl one, just because I am pretty brutal with my cards when I'm shuffling, and I use them a lot. So it'd be nice to have a really good thick stock. So this is by Taylor Ellis. I freaking love this deck. The colors are exquisite. I'm really drawn to really clear points of view, and this has a really clear point of view. I love that. I'm just gonna check that these are okay. I love that if you can see, these cards have got different different fonts and typesets. Amazing. I just think that this is such a beauty. It's not going to be for everybody, but I am so drawn to the imagery in this deck. As you can see, the cups are very you can see that those people, the blue people, are in pretty much every one of them. Again, another type, another font there. I just love it. It photographs I'm sorry folks, it photographs beautifully when you're doing readings for people, and they may want a copy of the reading, and you can get really drawn into the images because they are so strong, and I just adore it. So that's the Ellis Tarot. I love this deck. Awesome deck, just beautiful. I'm running out of room on my table. What else have we got here? Oh, this is another gorgeous one too. The Dalanoff Tarot, and I know there's another edition of this as well with a different back. This is an independent deck. Beautiful, longer as you can see than your standard tarot. I have done a review of this one as well. Just gorgeous. And the really cool thing about this deck is that he has both justice and strength in the 8 and the 11, and then switch. So if you read with justice as 8 instead of 11, first of all, I think you're cray-cray, but I just haven't learned that way, and I don't read that way. But he has the ability that you can just take them out of the deck and swap it in, because he's done 2 versions of those cards, which is really cool. The court cards in this deck are really, really funky. Beautiful. I love this deck. I haven't used it a lot because I'm kind of afraid to. With the decks that are like this, that are collector decks, and you know, they're not your $20 ones from Indigo or Barnes & Noble, I tend to be a little bit more careful with them. I want to use them. I'm not going to not use them, but I'm also going to be a little bit careful with them. So there is a pretty clear here that this is like the 8 of Swords. Some of the court cards are a wee bit confusing. Like there is one coming up. You actually do maybe need to think about it, and once you get familiarized with the deck, then it's not a problem. But sometimes I've kind of had to look at it a little closer to realize who that is. Like, that's the Queen of Swords. Temperance, beautiful. And that's the Queen of Cups. So you do have to have a look at sort of like what animal is on there and what crown is above. sort of thing to find out who's what. So that's the Dalinoff Tarot. So that's part one of my tarot collection. As I mentioned, I'll be doing more than one of these because I have got so many. Thanks for watching. Do you have these decks? Do you like them? What do you want to see next? All of the links to the decks are below, and if I have reviews, it's also below. And thanks very much for watching. And if you like what you saw, subscribe, because there's more tarot goodness all the time, here, all day, every day. Tarot goodness. And thanks.